Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name's Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about spending a lot of time in the office and how much I love to code. Alright, so a couple days ago I had another question from True Dreams who said, "Hey Eric, how much time you spend in the office? I mean, how much you work in a day? Is it around 5 to 6 hours spending a day in coding?" Well, I work a lot. I mean, one of the reasons I do what I do is so I can have a bit more freedom, but I do spend a lot of time working, right? So 5 to 6 hours, I spend a lot more than 5 to 6 hours a day in the office. I guess I spend about as much time as I can, about as much as I could get away with without completely ignoring everything else, right? And 5 to 6 hours a day in coding, yeah, maybe, but it's never in a row. There's always frequent interruptions, and if I took them together and put them together, it would be, right? So it's very rare that I get those kind of opportunities. So actually, one of my New Year's resolutions this year, which I hope to reach by the end of this year, is to do less coding, right? To be able to delegate more, because a lot of times when we get something that might be a bit challenging, a bit of code, or that needs to get done right away, and I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up control, so I'll just say I'll just do this one myself, right? And then everyone's waiting because I'm here at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, just finishing up this one bit of code which I should have given to somebody else, and they could have worked on it over the course of weeks. So I'm trying to give up coding to a certain extent, but here's the problem. I really like coding, right? I really like to do this kind of stuff, right? Not all the time. Sometimes it really sucks. Sometimes code can really suck, but it's a lot different when you work on your own stuff than when you work on it for somebody else, right? So let me give you an example, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Yesterday, I came into work at 5 o'clock. Got up early. Came in because I was excited because every day is an overpass day now, not like in the old days when I would only get like a few days here and there. And I got up, came into the office, and working on a few things. I had a bit of client work to finish off, so I finished that by like 10, right? So I come in between, so I get up at 4:30. I'm in the office by 5, just before 5, and then until about 8. At 8 o'clock I go home, see the kids off to school, take a shower and everything, come back in. So around 10 o'clock I finished 2 client projects. I released both of them to the App Store. They were both iOS. And one of them was even approved before midnight. That was really good. They're really getting good about that, right? So I had like the rest of the day where I didn't have any client projects to do. I was just like, hey, this is fantastic. I'd given myself more time to do that. So I thought, you know what? I've got like this list of enhancements I wanted to make to EarSpy that I've just been thinking, I just haven't done it. So I thought today, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna answer the phone. I'm just gonna go deep undercover, right? For Beverly Hills Cop 2 reference, I'm going deep undercover, and I'm just gonna work on this without interruption. So I opened up IntelliJ, and the only reason I use IntelliJ instead of Android Studio is because I paid for IntelliJ, and I think I might as well use it, but it's the same code base, same everything. So I opened it up and it said, do you want to, there's a new version available, do you want to upgrade? And normally I say no. I've been saying no to the same pop-up for weeks. So I thought, yes, let's go ahead and upgrade. I got a little bit of time, so I did that. And then the next 3 hours was spent just fixing configuration, because once I did that, it said, oh, you need the latest version of Java, and then it was like, we can't find the latest version of Java, update your home, your Java home variable in your environment variables, and I did that, I did everything, and it was still not working, and I was about ready to just, it was one of those days where I was just so frustrated, I was ready to cry, I wanted to scream. In the end, what I ended up doing was just creating another project, a blank Android project. Everything worked, and I just copied all the code over to it, because all the real useful stuff is in the manifest file and the Gradle files and all that kind of stuff anyway. And everything still worked, key stores still worked, tests still worked, everything was fine. So good, everything was fine. I just moved on to a new code base. I'm just gonna work from that, and then everything went great. So all of a sudden, I'm just making changes and everything's working. I got into a flow state, that state where everything just works, where you just and it's when you're working on your own project, it's different than working on somebody else's, because you have an idea, you just go with it. You think, let's try that. Let's put this in there, and it's almost like it's a lot more creative. right? And I was making all these changes and doing everything, running it on the phone, running on the device, running on this device, everything was working fine. And all the friction that I had when I updated my stupid Java and my IntelliJ, all of that was gone, and the friction was gone, and it was blissful. It was so fantastic just to make these changes, right? The next thing I knew, it was 5:30, and I don't know where the time went, right? It was 5:30, and it was my turn to cook dinner. So I had to go home, and so I was like, oh my God, I don't want to stop doing this. I didn't want to leave. So I ran home, I quickly cooked dinner, you know, did the dishes, everything like that. You know, a couple hours later, I came back into work, and I was here till about 10 o'clock last night, right? And I finished, and I got the release out, and it was just so enjoyable. It was nice what it was. And so, you know, there's always, when you're doing code, when you're developing code, there are days where things just seem like they're just full of friction and nothing works. You got other days where things just take off and you don't want to leave it. And that was one of those days yesterday. In fact, when I left from home after dinner, I'm walking into the office, and I see someone, they go, oh, are you heading into work? And I said, yeah, I just got some stuff I need to work on back in the office. And they go, oh, that's terrible. You know, I see you in there all the time. You're in there on Saturdays. You're always going in early in the mornings and late at night. That's really tough. And I'm like, yeah, you know, well, you got to pay the bills. You know, it's not an easy life and everything, right? So I'm really milking it, but I love doing it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love doing it. If it was somebody else and somebody else made me work these kind of hours, there's no way I would do it. But you know, coding can be fun. I mean, there are days where you're just into it, and there's days that you're not into it. For me, you know, when you're doing the nice big fun stuff, and you know, the nice big visual stuff, everything's great. For me, like login forms and, you know, remember password, all that kind of stuff, whatever it is, I just think that stuff's boring because you do it a million times. But there's other times where you really get into the code and everything. So I code as much as I can. I do it more than I should, but you know, there's that. You know, I'm in the office as often as I can be. It's so much different than if you're working for somebody else, right? It's, you know, there's nobody looking over your shoulder. It's all about the work. It's all about creation. It's all about production, right? And it's, you know, working with my team, and which is all, you know, there are days where I don't do any coding because I'm talking to the team. I'm working on other projects that other developers are working on. I'm driving out to meet with a new client somewhere, and there's days like that too. But so that's a long answer to a short question, but 5 to 6 hours a day, if I'm lucky, yes. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. How much do you like coding? I mean, do you have days like this? Do you think it's a drag? Do you enjoy doing it? You know, I guess that's it. That's it for today. That's it for this week. I'll talk to you guys on Monday.